That says it all. Unplugged with the shark. I mean, today we are going to just let everything loose. Like I said on this show here, anything goes. And we got a great subject today, avoiding big leadership mistakes. I mean, man, and I'm here with my one and only, you know who it is. Miss Robinson is in the house. What's up?
Hey, how are you? I'm happy to be here. I'm ready. Let's do this.
I'm pumped. And you know what? I love your last name because you know that song. Hey, Mrs. Robinson.
I hear it
You
all the
don't
time.
like it, which I can't sing anyway. So just say, gone, we're done.
Yeah,
Okay, so today I got to tell you one story real quick, dear. This is,
go for it.
yeah. Yesterday, somebody called me from a staffing firm that put like 27 years in, and they let that person go, and
Yeah,
pretty much said that you know what, and they're going to retire within maybe a month, and said we're going to give you an extra week vacation, and see you, thank you, and they were the face of this staffing firm for that many years. I mean, how do you take that? I mean, and when I talked to her, I was like, wow. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, in our own industry,
yeah.
it's like, you know,
It's happening
and
so much.
but here's what's coming down to, and we're going to tie in everything we're talking about today is the leadership stuff, because they brought a new leader in 6 months ago and try to
Yeah,
change the whole culture overnight. And you know, you would being an expert and myself in this industry
yeah.
that, you know what, you just don't go in and say, I'm going to run the show. Everybody needs to change right now. It doesn't
That's
work.
right. That's right. Yep.
So she said, we're going to downsize. So guess what? We're going to downsize all the older people. So if you had 15 years or more, you're out of here. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and unfortunately, they won't see it today, but that's going to have such a big impact on that organization in a negative way because you're losing so much tribal knowledge and just culture, and that's unfortunate.
It
That's
is.
unfortunate. Yeah, yeah.
It is. And
God,
what are you
that
going to do?
yeah,
So, like I said in the day, we're going to start off with, and then we're going to get pumped up too about the good stuff here.
yeah.
So, all I can say is give everybody a little story about who you are because everybody knows who you are. But I knew I want to give you the stage for the next 2 minutes. I'm going to shut my mouth and you go
Oh
for
my
it.
gosh, 2 minutes? Oh Lord, I don't know if that's enough time. No, just kidding. So who am I? Well, I'll give you kind of like the resume piece first, and that is, I've been in healthcare for over 20 years. I started off in the hospital. I started off actually as a secretary in a medical staff office. And
Oh,
honestly, I got hooked because what happened was I saw kind of the behind the scenes of,
I think she froze up. Come on back. Come on back. I don't know here. Here we go. Just wait a second here and see.
let me know when you can hear me again because I heard you just fine.
All right,
I see
perfect. You're
you.
back.
All
You're
right.
back.
Let's try that again. So, I started off as a medical staff secretary 1,000 years ago and fell in love with it because I was able to see kind of the behind the scenes. So, fast forward, I stayed on the hospital side for a very long time. I was in South Florida and
Ooh.
moved up in the ranks, but always stayed in medical staff services, risk, quality management, that sort of thing. And then, my husband and I just had this like crazy idea to just leave a really great situation, good life, great support for the chance of better. And so we left South Florida, moved to Texas, and I decided to transition from being just purely in the hospital to being in the healthcare staffing space. I'd worked with these travelers, I'd worked with locum tenens, but I wasn't quite sure how they got there. And so that's how I started. And I stayed in the healthcare staffing space for several years. Fast forward to 2021, and this is a story that I can finally tell without cringing. But I was in the talks for a while for promotion in my role. My team, we were nailing it. I had taken on additional teams. I had created teams. I'd done it all, and we were doing well. And we had talked about a promotion for a while. And I finally just said, okay, it's time. I'm going to muster up the courage and I'm going to just say, okay, I think it's time. Like, let's do this
Yeah.
promotion thing. And so I had sent my pitch presentation to my boss and we had a scheduled call and I pulled up like my PowerPoint and I was like, all right, I can do this. And I started in on the why you need to promote Therese promotional pitch and I was fired. And
You
so,
shit me, really?
yep. So as you can imagine, right, it's the layoff story, but it's also the shame of how didn't I know? Why didn't I see this coming? How silly can you be to not realize that this was kind of what was happening? How dare
Hmm.
you that you're asking for a promotion and then on the same day you get fired? Like there was just a lot of shame and embarrassment that, as you can imagine, came with that, and that was really kind of the thing that you know took me to the next level. I saw somebody, I forgot where it came from. I think it was on LinkedIn where someone said, every kick is a boost, and that kick was the boost that I needed to kind of take it to the next level, and it brought me here.
Look at that. You know what? They lose out, right? You lose, you snooze, right?
That's right.
Whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously,
Exactly.
wow. I mean, but you never know. I mean, you take it to heart, but at that point, I know how you are. At the end of the day, it's like you get that desire. It's like, I'm going to prove to myself that, you know what, because people can be so brutal out there. This leadership management, when they get rid of somebody, and we can just dive into this right now. When they
Yeah.
fire somebody, I mean, they're ruthless. They don't care what you did the whole time. It's like, what have you done for this last minute? Goodbye. I mean, and I'm sure you're the same way I am. I carry everything on my heart, my sleeve. That's why
Yeah.
I'm truthful. I can't, if I'm going to get rid of somebody, you can tell that, it's going to bother me, and they're going to say, why are you so quiet? And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
we have to have a talk. How
Yeah.
does managers deal with this? I mean, when you see it out in the field, how do they sleep at night and just say, you're out of here?
So, I think so. A couple of things that you said. So, I don't believe that they don't care. I really, truly, inside of me, I don't believe that there's lack of care. What I do think, though, is that there's a lot of I don't know what the hell to do. And so, because I don't know what the hell to do, I'm just going to do nothing. And as a result, the messaging that I'm giving out is lack of interest, lack of caring. And so, just even with my own personal experience, I was working with my leader for 3 years. And, that leader was on that firing call for all of 30 seconds, handed it off to HR, and I never heard from that person again. And so, and I truly believe it's not because that person didn't care. It was because that person just didn't know what the hell to do with me. They didn't
Yeah.
know what to do with me. And so, and that's what I'm seeing over and over again. And, there's so much that's happening before the layoff. And what I'm seeing is just this constant theme of we don't know what the hell we're doing. And all of those mistakes are what's leading to, in my opinion, this mass layoff, right? So I keep hearing this over and over again in the industry. Well, we didn't anticipate that, for instance, in healthcare staffing, we didn't anticipate that there was going to be this dip after COVID.
Yeah.
Well, shame on you,
You,
right, for
you
not
knew it was going to
anticipating
dip.
that
Come on.
because right, because, in other words, what you were saying is that you were banking on a worldwide pandemic to carry on forevermore. And that just makes no sense, right? And so, I think it was just we were very reactive as an industry versus actually being more proactive and looking at, okay, what are some systems and processes we need to put in place to support this kind of huge thing that's happening in the world, really? The answer really was more like, let's just hire more people, more people, more people, more
Because they had
people,
more money
more
then,
more
all the
people, more
supplemental money they
money,
had.
more people, more money, right? Without actually, actually putting in some processes and systems to actually streamline and be more efficient. And I get it because I was there. I was there in the height of the pandemic. So, someone might say, Therese, you are crazy. Like, how the hell was I supposed to do that when I had, thousands of orders? And the
Yeah.
answer is, yeah, I get you. I hear that. But there's always an opportunity to take a 10-second timeout and say, okay, are we doing this the best way possible? Are we doing this the best way possible? And the moment that we started to see that dip, that was also another moment to go, wait a minute, I'm seeing a dip. What do we need to do to write kind of the internal processes and things that we have going on?
Well, isn't that strategy and stuff
Yeah.
that you have to think about and common sense too? I mean,
Yeah.
like I think leaders, getting back to the firing part, I think communication,
Yeah.
just be upfront, eye to eye, like we always talk about in an interview. Sit down and say, hey, we got a plan for you. We don't know if it's going to work out or not. Let's make something come out of it, maybe, not just
Yeah.
this blindside. I don't know what to do. So I panic and I just say goodbye on an email.
Well, you know, this goes back again to what I'm seeing, and that is you're not, and some people may disagree, but I don't believe that you just wake up today and you're like, I'm a leader. I know all the leadership things. I've got the soft skills. I know what to do as a leader. That is something that you learn over time. That is something that you're taught, that someone is coaching and mentoring you. So again, when we look at, especially in our industry, what I'm seeing is we're taking folks, and I talk about this so much. We take folks who are rock stars as individual contributors, right? So Richard, man, you are just nailing it as a recruiter. So I'm going to make you the director of recruiting so that you can create a bunch of mini Richards, and then it's going to be fantastic, right? But
Sharkies everywhere.
yeah, everywhere. But what happens when you're in a shark infested water, right? Everybody is just right,
Mhm.
because we've not created. Did you see how I did that? You see how I tied the shark thing in?
I love that. And you had a little bit of music to that too, a little noise. I love it.
Yeah. But the thing is that we have to recognize that the skill set that makes you a rock star individual contributor may not translate into leadership. It can on some level, but we need to develop some additional skills for you to kind of take some of the great things about that, recruiter position, why you were so incredible, and actually kind of grow that by adding and sprinkling the layer of soft skills and things that you need to be as a leader. And so again, when we go back to people don't know what they're doing, they're not being strategic, they're not planning ahead, they're not being direct and having the conversations, that's because we're not taught how to have these direct conversations. That is a skill, to have
Yes.
those difficult conversations. We don't just wake up and just know how to do it. And having a
100%.
difficult conversation with a candidate about, hey, your compensation or your start date is a completely different skill set than having a conversation with recruiter Richard, where I have to talk to you about the fact that, hey, listen, you are not meeting the goals of the role right now. So what are some things that we can do together to help you improve? I want to manage you up. And if you
Yeah.
can't get there, then we have to talk about how we need to manage you out. That's a different skill, and it's something that you have to be taught, and you learn over time through mentoring and development.
You do learn. It's like coaching. I always say, like sports,
Yeah.
like football coaches and stuff like that. The great ones because the players say, I want to play for this person. It's almost the
Yep.
same way. The recruiter wants to play for the leader,
Yep.
but it's your tone too. With me,
Yes.
I go and I almost put my arm around him. I hold him. I'm like, you know what? You don't
Right.
want to be a sissy with them, but you also want to just you want to praise them on their good things and then
Yes.
show them. Don't beat them down like a dead horse. Just go in and say, hey, we can do this together,
Right.
and then listen to them. Let them tell you why they're not succeeding.
That's right.
But
That's
nobody
right.
does. They're just saying the KPI, this is, and you're done. You're out the
Oh, the
door.
KPIs. Oh, I
Oh,
love
I,
the
I
KPIs.
hate that word, KPI. So you know what? I changed it. I think it should be called RMI, Recruiter Mass Index, just like Body Mass Index, right?
Yeah. Okay.
RMI.
Good.
These KPI. When you hear of a KPI, every recruiter just looks like it's going to the principal's office. They cringe.
Right, right. And then too, KPIs just sounds so like, ooh,
Oh,
KPIs. That's like for the executives, But
mhm.
what we're really trying to do is we're trying to measure the daily tasks to make sure that you're doing all the things that you should be doing on a daily basis to get to goal. And to your point, why can't you get to goal, Richard? What are the blocks for you? What are the challenges? What are the obstacles? Is it the system? Is it the process? Is it the people? Like what are some of the
It's my
things
coworker. She eats
that
all
are
day, or he eats all day, and he's throwing wrappers at me,
uh,
distracting me.
right, exactly. And I would challenge you to say, well, it's not about your coworker, it's all about you. So tell
Mhm.
me some of the things that you're doing to improve your environment and to improve the numbers. So it's not about, Lucy next door. It's about you. And so I think that's the common theme that I'm consistently seeing is if we promote from within, we're promoting people who are rock stars as individuals. If we hire from the outside, sometimes we're hiring from the outside and we're thinking that there's these like transferable skills, but we have to understand that, like I'm dealing with a client where, there's a person who is an expert, really, really great in that specific skill, but does not know staffing or healthcare staffing. It is a
See,
different beast.
it
And
is.
so if you're going
Oh,
to hire somebody within, hey, I'm all for it, but you have to have a development plan and an educational plan for that person, because you're setting them up for failure if you don't.
100%. Now you're tapping into that, because even coaches, if you've never recruited or done staffing sales, you have no
Yeah.
clue. And I get this all the time. They're like, well, I'm a coach. I can generate leads. I don't generate leads. I generate clients, I tell people. And
Right.
I'm just frank. I'm just rude with some of these people because they send you email after email, and you get them too, all the time. But well, we can do everything. We can sell real estate. We can sell staffing. You can't. And that's where you tied it in with the leadership stuff. You can't bring a leader from the outside in. They have to have the trust first. They just can't come in and start giving dictation and details when people's like, who's this new person coming in? You know how it is. You get a new leader. You're like whispering your email. Oh my God, they're watching me. They're on me.
Why is that person? Why? And the thing is, again, there's a lot of value to it, but you have to have a plan for them. And what I recommend to my clients is, if you're bringing a leader from the outside, you better be damn sure that that person, if it's credentialing or recruiting or client sales, you better make sure that they're sitting down and they're working some files. They're picking up the phone and they're cold calling or doing whatever your process is. They're out there trying to, because they need to understand what's happening at the desk level in order to really understand how to lead and figure out how to fix problems. And, from my perspective, leadership is, I'm in the front and there's this jungle in front of me. And my goal, my job is to cut the trees, trim the branches, lay down the cement, pave the way, figure out if I need to have a highway or a byway. Am I doing a stop sign or a traffic light? Because as I'm doing that, I'm creating a clear path for the team to make it easier for them. That's how I look at leadership. That's what it's all about.
I got to tell you, that was just like a Bob Ross moment for me. Bob Ross, you were like painting trees. I was thinking sports, and you're like, you got me on the highway. I'm thinking she's got this great painting now of everything.
It's true, right? I mean, that's what it is. It's all about making it as easy as possible for people to be successful. But you can't do that if you don't know the types of plants, you don't know what's poisonous, you don't know how do you do that? And the way that you do that is by spending time with the team and really getting to understand their challenges and how they get from A to B to C to D to E. And is everybody's A, B, C, D, E the same or not?
Yep. That's why you spend time with everybody. Each person gets one day with you, or half a day. And leaders don't do that. They show up with their briefcase, they go to their office, shut the door, and then they have that powwow meeting on Mondays or Friday afternoons, which is awful, and nothing gets accomplished. And I see this over and over. It's not in staffing, it's everywhere. But in staffing recruiting, I see where the disconnect is with leadership and recruiters. They don't even I know so many leaders that I talk to that don't even know how to do they don't have to search for candidates and stuff like that. The ATS, they don't even know how to open it up. Now, you're a leader or CEO of this staffing firm and you have no clue. You don't even know how to drug test somebody. I went into one time and they're like, you kidding me? They're like, where's the forms at for drug tests? I'm like, everything's online. You have to be kidding me.
You have to, Or I talk to clients where I say, okay, what are your minimum requirements? What's the bare minimum? They're like, I don't really know. I don't know this. And so, I think it's all. But again, going back to the leadership piece, we've got to invest in the development of the leaders, whether they come from the outside or the inside, because, they're the ones who are really going to make or break you, right? And, you can have a highly engaged team, you can have high performers, you can have all of those really great things. But if your leader that you have in charge of that team or that department is not the right fit, guess where your high performers are going? Out the door.
Yep.
Exactly. Your low performers are going to kick it because they're like, hey, Richard doesn't know what the hell's going on here. I'm chilling. It's good, right? But then all of a sudden now it's going to lead to things like we're just not being productive. Our quality's not great. Our clients are unhappy. Talent, they're leaving us. And now we have to start laying people off. So, I think it starts with the leadership and how much we pour into them. And also to what we identify in those leaders as their personal strengths. Because all leaders, there's not one size that fits all.
No.
And you might be really great at some things as a leader, and I might be great at other things as a leader. And so it's important that we understand what those strengths are so we can develop and really take advantage of the things that are really great. Maybe I'm a people person. Maybe you're all about the process, right? So we have to take some time to invest in the leadership team and we will start to reap the benefits of that.
And I love how you said that, because we all have to hold ourselves accountable. A leader can't do everything
Nope.
to everybody. And we have to
Nope.
understand that when you're a leader, you're inspiring, you're motivating, but you're also doing the process too. And one
That's
thing
right.
about tech stacks, I still know so many leaders that don't know about the tech stack, and they got burnt 3 years ago. They bought everything,
Yeah.
all the
Oh my
AI
God.
stuff, and they didn't even need it. Seriously, they didn't even need it. They got 10 recruiters and they have like 20,000, 30,000 bucks worth of tech stack because they said somebody told them they needed this. I'm like, did you ask the recruiters? No, they're not even
Yep.
using it.
Yep.
It's like,
I had a client who, just to get a candidate from the moment of placement to getting cleared to start, they had to put that candidate through, I think it was like 14 different systems. So they had to go here to do this, and they had to take the file over here to do that, like 13, 14 different systems just to get them to go, which was crazy to me because none of them spoke to each other. None of the system, nothing integrated. And what was happening is they invested all these dollars, and guess where the people were actually keeping track of things? On a sheet of paper, because they couldn't keep
oh,
up with everything. That's
you
what they were
kidding
doing.
me?
They were writing, they had notebooks just to keep track of everything because nothing spoke to anything. And they were spending thousands of dollars every month for these systems.
Oh, I had a staffing firm in West Virginia. I'm not going to mention the name. They were printing
Yeah.
resumes out on Indeed, printing them out and highlighting
Yep.
them. I'm like, they have this whole stack. I'm thinking, what are you doing? All this paper and all this. I mean, we don't have to. Oh, I like the texture of this. Then you need to
Yeah.
go to
Oh
work at
yeah.
the library. I told the person, I'm like, this is crazy. Like,
Not,
seriously,
not,
you're never going to be productive on this stuff at all.
no, not, no,
And then when you tell them that, they're like, well, and you ask the leader or the CEO, they're like, well, whatever makes them happy. And I'm thinking, that's not what it's about. You guys
no.
are wondering why your numbers are down. They're worried about printing out resumes. So, and I mean, come on.
Exactly, exactly, and not in our industry where it's so competitive, and and
Mhm.
at the end of the day, it's about meeting the needs of your client. And so, how are you expecting to do that by not actually, recognizing the importance of streamlining your systems and your process? I mean, how can you say that you're meeting the needs of your client if you're not
You
doing
got
that?
it. Okay, so you ready for this on leaders? So, I mean, this is a pet peeve. In the summertime, you ready for this? Seriously, they only show up 2 days a week, and the recruiters are there all the time till 5 o'clock on a Friday.
Uh-huh.
Recruiters hate that. They have to put the time into. What do you think? I mean, if you're a leader, you should get there in the morning, get some donuts once in a while, or some come. You don't have to come in all the time, but don't be leaving at 2 o'clock and say, if you need me, here's my
Call me.
cell phone. I'm going golfing.
Yeah,
Like, I see this all the time where they're like this, and the recruiters are just sweat on a Friday. Give them half a day off, some of them, rotate it
yeah,
around.
yeah.
What's your take on all this? Because it just
So
kills me.
yeah, so I agree. I agree with that. I think the leaders need to be with their teams, whatever the teams are. So if it's recruiting, if it's back office, whatever it is, if you're, and I literally said this to a client 2 weeks ago, you're the last one to leave. As a leader, you're the last one out the door,
Yep,
especially
shut the
on a
door off.
Friday. You do not leave until you have cleared everyone or you have a plan for whoever is left over. You're the last out the door. You've got to be in the trenches with your team. It builds trust, it gives you visibility, it gets you closer to what's happening. So that way you can better advocate for your team, for your clients, and for yourself. So I agree 100%. You need to be wherever your team is, that's where you need to be. Even if you're a remote team, it's the same thing. When I was a remote leader, I was there in the trenches with my team, and I was the last
Yes.
one to leave, even though we were remote. And the way that I did that was I checked in with everyone and said, "Okay, Richard, you're good. Lucy, you're good. Jim, you're good. All right, great. I'm going to do the closeout email to the executive leaders to let them know we are done. We are good. We're done for the day. Everyone, see you Monday. We're done."
Bingo. You
So
want to leave on a great note, like you said, a happy note.
absolutely.
And if there's somebody like a client that hung up on somebody or a recruiter, give that to me. The shark will
Give it
take
to
care of
me.
this.
Let
Yeah,
me
I
handle
do
that.
all the dirty work for y'all. I always say that all the time. I'll
That's
be your
right.
dirty hands. I'll be the bad guy, which I never am. But at the end of the day, let me do it.
Yeah.
And they're like,
Let
yeah,
me
that's
handle
cool.
it.
I got your back.
Absolutely. I
But
got your
nobody
back.
does that. But
Yeah, but
so many
again,
leaders.
but that goes back to we're not developing leaders to understand that that's a big part of what they
Mhm.
do, right? And also too, again, sometimes they don't feel and that's another thing I want to talk about. A lot of times when we see this happening is because there's a lack of confidence. leader lacks confidence in their ability to actually handle the problem. So no, Richard, the recruiter, you take care of it. You just call me if if it escalates. Hopefully it doesn't, because I don't know what the hell I'm going to say. But
Exactly. Or if there's
but
an injury, I don't know what to
right,
do. What do we do in an injury report?
I don't. Yeah, exactly. So what I'm seeing too is, there's a severe lack of confidence in these leaders, and that's again, I tie it right back to when you don't invest in the development and education of your leadership team. That's what you will see: lack of confidence, lack of connection. They're leaving, they're golfing, they're whatever. They only want to be involved when it really gets into dire straits. When really, by the time that happens, now it's too late. Now it's too late. And so your leader should be in the trenches as part of the goings on, the daily grind on the team.
100%. I love that. And you know what I do when I go in and do consulting? I tell the leader, you know what, shut the office down on Thursday, 2:00. We're going to Buffalo Wild Wings, have some wings, surprise them. They love that kind of stuff. They will work harder for you. They'll work on the weekends. I mean, you should have your cell phone on too. If somebody needs you on the weekends, you should be there all times. I think if you're CEO or leader, you should 24/7. Blow me up at 2:00 in the morning. I'll get back to you in the morning.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a choice that you made, right? At the end of the day, if you're in a leadership position, you made the choice to be there, period. Right. And so part of that choice is recognizing that there's a certain level of responsibility that comes with that. So let me ask you something. What's your take on this?
Go for it.
For leaders. Okay, so if I'm in a building and I have the floor and all the teams on the floor, and we've got these like fancy, sexy, offices with glass on it and stuff, right? You're picturing what I'm saying, right? So it's like a fishbowl type thing. All right. What are your thoughts on leaders? Where should they be sitting on the floor? Should they be in an office? What do you think?
I like them right with everybody else. With me, I'm right there with everybody else. There's no door. If I'm in an office, the door's open. Usually most of the time, I have an office, and then I had I'm out on the floor too.
Another desk or something.
I mean, because they can mess with me. I went to Staffing World last year, and I came back, and I had 400 Post-its all over my office. That's how they throw stress balls at me. They have fun with me, and that's what it's about. Yeah, I'm not shutting the door. There's no hidden stuff. My laptop's open. If you want to see my other podcast or something, there's nothing to hide. And when you have that transparency, they will do everything for you.
That's right. Right. Exactly. And another reason why I recommend that so much, like if you have to have the office, that's great. Have it for one-on-one conversations, right? Have it for maybe, okay, I need focus time. I need an hour, 2-hour focus time. I got to crank out this, whatever. Outside of that, you should be on the floor with your team, because what's going to happen is you're going to become a team member. You're on the floor with the team, but also you're going to start picking up things, because you're going to hear that, man, every time Richard gets on the phone with this one client, there's always a problem, or every time I'm over here, I never see Megan. She's never on the phone, or you're going to start to pick up certain things. And now you're going to actually be able to say, hey, Richard, what's going on with that client? Why is it every time? And then Richard's going to be like, oh my God, they can never, it takes me 2 weeks to get this one stupid document every single time we place somebody with them or whatever. And now that gives me an opportunity. Educate me. Talk me through it, Richard. What's going on? Why is this happening? Who is the account manager for that? All right. Who is whatever the story is. So I think you will learn so much. So you'll learn if you're on the floor, because now instead of relying on Richard to get out of his cubicle or wherever he's sitting, walk over to you and have this conversation, you're actually there and you're hearing what's going on. And now you can tap in and tune in immediately.
100%.
And it creates such a great culture and environment. And to your point, you just become one of the team, and the energy just shifts. It's just this really cool thing. And everyone's actually happier to be at work.
Everybody loves it. You know what? And that's what I bring every time I go. And I challenge consultants and coaches out there, sit in a cubicle or I don't like cubicles, but sit at a desk with them. Do the sales with them, do the recruiting. I did it for 18 months and closed 38 deals, not to say, wow, but I was in the trenches with them every day.
Yep.
They're like, dude, I'm going to do the work for you. I'm going to make you grow. I'm not going to sit there and say, here's my briefcase. Here's our little, we're going to go through this little portfolio today. We're going to do a little presentation. No, my presentations are on the fly when we're out in the field. And that's how we roll. And they love that. Therese, they'll work 24/7 for you all the time. Like I said, they throw stress balls at me. We have fun at work. And then we're like, we have a client coming in. So you'll love this. I take it another step forward. On Monday, if there's any candidates they don't want to talk to your client, they ship them to me. And I get this list. The guys and girls will send me like,
love
Shark, can
that.
you deal with it? Because they're like, dude, this person's a
I love
creeper. Try to ask me out. It's on my Facebook. I'm like, dude. And then they get them on the phone. I put them on speakerphone too. By the way, everything I do is on speakerphone because everything's loud. So I don't put the phone up so they can hear everything. They're like, how do you not get mad at that person when he got mad at you? Like, they didn't get mad. You know, he'll be in and he'll apologize. In 2 minutes to call back, apologize.
Exactly.
And he didn't know he was talking to me. He thought he was talking to a recruiter. He's like, oh, you're the Shark, the cool guy in the back. Like, dude, we're all cool. Dude, if you yell at somebody else, you're yelling at me too, man, because I protect all my peeps.
That's right. But that's the thing though, right? And you just said it. I protect all my peeps.
There it is.
What it comes down to in leadership is, are you seeing yourself as a protector of your people? Or are you seeing yourself as the person that's in charge of everybody? Because that's a whole different mindset. Those are two different mindsets. If you're the protector of your peeps, well, then your approach is just going to be different. Your energy is going to be different. Your presence is just going to be different. And what you'll find is people are going to just flock to you, and they're going to respect you more. But to your point, there has to be a balance, right? So you've got to be able to protect your peeps by also making sure that you're educated and you know what the hell's going on. Because you don't want to shift all the way to the left where you're like, everybody's great. I don't know why. Okay, our numbers suck, but my peeps, I'm protecting them. Like, you can't be like that. But you have to have a balance where you're, because you're coming from that perspective, when you have to have those tough conversations, they get it. And they understand that, hey, you're sitting down and having this difficult conversation with me because you want me to be successful.
Because I care. Yep. That's the whole thing. We're like parenting. I think a leader should be like almost like a parent. Seriously, at the end of the day, you're there to take care of them, care about them, want them to succeed, but also you have to scold them if something goes wrong,
Yep. And that's what I always say. Know when you're coaching, know when you're celebrating, but you must do both consistently.
Oh, you got to celebrate in this day and age with mental health, which is out in the forefront now, which I love the awareness, because you don't know what's going on in people's lives. Even our internal recruiters, they can go through a divorce, financial problems. We do not know. No. So if they want it, and I'm going to tell you, they tell me everything. They tell me about their dating life. They tell me some stuff I shouldn't even know, but they feel comfortable. Is that kind of funny? They're like, because I will never tell anybody else. If you tell me, I'll give you some big brother talk, and that's it,
Yep. And I think that's perfect, though. I think that's having a high emotional intelligence to understand that we work with people. People are people. They have feelings, they have fears, they have thoughts, they have anxieties, they have all these things. We're so complex. And we spend more time with these people than we do with our own families. We hear that all the time. So wouldn't that be just really kind of cool if we actually for real cared about each other beyond the work that we did, and we actually wanted to be successful as a team? Like, how cool would that be?
It's amazing. I mean, you know what? I just love it. I got to tell you, they're all my Facebook friends. Anybody I ever worked with is usually a friend of mine for life. You know what I mean? We drink together. We have fun. That's what it's about. And I never got this real quick with bad leadership. There was companies I was at, and when the high management got rid of them, they sent an email, please don't ever contact that person again. That's my friend for the last 3 years. I have his cell phone number, her cell phone number. I don't like them emails. What's your take on an email where it says, this person's no longer with the company, and they basically say, don't ever talk to them again, or something like that verbiage? I'm like, really?
Yeah,
they're human.
Shame on them for doing that. Let's put it that way. Regardless of the reason for the departure, well, first of all, I should, as an employee in that organization, never know the reason for the departure.
No, there should never be email out there.
They should never know. I should never know. And really, it should be something very simple. Richard's no longer with the organization. We wish him the best.
Bingo. Yep.
Done. If you have any questions about how this impacts your role, reach out to your direct leader. Done. Right? That's it. Because people are people. And if Richard and I are BFFs and I've been having lunch with you for the last, 2 years every day, of course I'm calling you. I'm texting you as they're sending the email. I'm like, damn, what happened? Right? Let's go to lunch. So I think it shouldn't go beyond the simple notification to the internal team, because you should. Now, what's your take on this when they say nothing? Richard's gone and nobody even knows. No, there was no email that went out. Nothing happened. What's your take on that one?
I don't like that. I think at the end we should have a warning, because everybody's going to be scared. Like, oh, am I next? Am I next? They have no clue why. Like you said,
Exactly.
they moved on in their career. At the end of the day, we all change lives. Even if they didn't get their KPI or they didn't hit their score or whatever, and you got
Yep.
rid of them, it's all positive. We thank John or Mary for coming here. Best of luck, and that's
Yes.
how it is.
And if you have any questions about how it impacts your role, then reach out to your
Or if
leader.
you ever need a reference or something like that, I'm going to give you all the good stuff. I mean, you can't give bad stuff anyway. I mean, I'll tell you, what's up, and that's it,
Exactly. Or I mean, and this is one thing that I recommend to folks who've either gotten laid off or terminated is I say, okay, maybe instead of asking for a reference, ask what were some of my strengths and what were some of the opportunities. So what's some coaching that you would give me as I leave? Give me that information because it is helpful for me to know, right? So that I can kind of take a look in the mirror moment and either be like they're full of crap or okay, yeah, okay, I could see that I was late almost every day. Like maybe I need to work on punctuality, right? But ask for that. Ask for that. You may not always get the response, but it does help. And what will happen too is that it might keep you connected to that organization as well in some way because you're reaching back out to them and you're being mature and you're being an adult about it and a professional and saying, hey, I totally understand that, but I would love to hear some feedback in terms of what you felt my strengths were and what were some opportunities as I move on in my career.
There's Johnny gives us a shout out. Look at that.
Yes.
Well, adopt the personality of its leader. 100%. I always say that. If you work around me, you know how it is. 100%, you're going to be full of energy no matter what. Even if you're a downer, it's like, no way. Nobody's down around me. And that's the way you have to be. I got to ask you this. You ready for this? So if you're a leader, sometimes does it go to your head and you just, how do you actually balance that out? Because sometimes you get promoted. And I know how the leaders, we all want to strut. We're all type A sometimes. How do you break it down where you're like, well, I got this leadership role, but I'm just like you, like we just talked about it. How does a leader change that? Because they want to lead by example, but they want to lead the right way. Don't say, well, I'm a leader now. I got that title, which I hate titles, by the way. You know what I mean? So what's your take on that? I mean, how do I think?
So how do I prevent my new VP title from getting to my head?
Yes.
And not walking around with a crown because I'm the new VP.
You're the new Jenny on the block. You're the new Jenny on the block, right?
Well, so I actually have a different take on that. So, and I'm curious to see if you agree. And so when I see leaders who, this is what I'm going to say, when I see leaders who walk around like they're, like what you said, like it's gotten to their head, I question that and I challenge that. And the reason why I question and I challenge that is I've done a lot of research on self-confidence and leadership, on imposter syndrome. And what I see as a consistent theme is that the folks who are truly confident in their ability as leaders, they tend to be kind of the most collaborative and the most humble in their leadership roles.
Yes.
The ones who are struggling, who maybe feel like they don't belong, or maybe they shouldn't have gotten that, or maybe I'm just waiting for them to realize I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Those are the ones that tend to do more posturing. They tend to try to assert themselves more and kind of continuously remind people that I'm the leader, I'm the VP of whatever fancy title that I have. And so I challenge that. And I would say that if it is that you're seeing people that look to be kind of overly confident, maybe stop for a second and recognize that, hey, this person might be actually dealing with quite the opposite, some self-confidence issues, which is leading to them kind of overcompensating here on some level. So that's kind of like if you see the leader. Now, if it is you and you're like, you know what, Therese, no, I am just the best thing out there. I don't know what to tell you. Then, okay, great. Congratulations. Now, how are you going to use all of this fantasticness that you have and pour into your team? What are some things that you can do to manage up others? What are some things that you can do to develop other managers, other leaders, bring other people up? Look around you. What do leaders look like in your organization? Yeah. All right. So this is where I'm going to say it. If you're Caucasian male, are there mostly Caucasian male leaders around? Are there women of color in leadership roles? What are you seeing? Because whatever you're not seeing, you need to find those people and start to look to see, how can I develop you as a leader? How can I bring you up? How can I share all my fantasticness with everybody else? So that's kind of my take on it. If you truly feel like you're fantastic, great. Share the wealth with others and grow other people up.
I'm going
And
to
if
sum it
it
up like
is,
this.
go
Have
ahead, please.
class, don't be an ass. Simple as
Oh, there you go. There, yeah, that's
boom.
better. I
I
was
mean,
trying to say it
seriously.
nicer, but yes, but truly, that's what it is, right? So if it is that you as a leader, you have an opportunity to bring others up, and you should take advantage of that for sure.
100%. And I think, something else before we wrap out of here is some of the strategies minded, I always say bad leaders, stifle creativity. They want to do it themselves. As being a leader, and us all being like leading the troops, we want to be creative, but we also want them to be creative too. Like,
That's right.
you get an idea, then the leader takes it and steals and runs off with it. See, I don't like that. Give credit to whoever came up with that idea.
That's right. That's right. But I hate to tell you, it goes right back to what I was just saying. You know, if it is that you feel the need to take credit for someone else's work, it's because you lack the confidence in your own work. And that's the bottom line. And so you got to do some work on yourself, because once you get to that higher level of self-confidence, then you will, it's not about, and I even, I talk about this a lot when I do like my keynotes and stuff. And I talk about the fact that, as a leader, we're always told what? Hire the rock stars, right? Because they make everyone look fantastic. And I hate to say this, but for a lot of the time that I was in leadership positions, I hired the rock stars. I did. I hired them. However, if I felt that someone was going to shine brighter than me, I did not hire them.
Wow.
And that is the truth. And that was because I was struggling with my own confidence as a leader. And I was okay with you shining, but I struggled if you shined brighter than me, or if you were shining the light on the fact that maybe I wasn't needed. And so, so there's a lot of these kind of cringy, shameful things that we do behind the scenes as leaders that we don't talk about. And that's one of them, is that what I'm seeing consistently as well is that we are, we're okay with others shining, but once you're not shining brighter than me.
I'm totally opposite. You know that.
Yeah, I know.
All my recruiters are like Tom Brady's.
Yeah.
They're ones that I can bring to prospects. I'll be honest with you. Every time I hired a rock star, it ended up being the biggest flop ever after about a year. It's seriously, it's like they knew it all that stuff. And my whole goal is I want everybody else to shine. That's like, you see that on my tagline. Because when you love yourself, you can love everybody else. And I think that's that confidence.
You hit the nail on the head. You hit it on the head.
When you love yourself, you can love everybody else.
But that's it. But that is it. And so when I look at people who are, categorized as micromanagers or bad leaders or disconnected, I always think, gosh, what's going on inside of your little head? Like, what's happening inside of your heart that's leading to you having these kind of external actions that's leading to this reputation, this negative reputation that you have. When you have a bad leader, please know, for whoever's watching or listening, if you have a bad leader right now, it's not about you.
Nope. Don't take it to heart.
It's not about you. It's all about them.
Yeah.
And all of their insecurities and the things that they just do not feel confident in their leadership. And that's why they're projecting in these ways. That's why they're micromanaging you, because they didn't feel confident in how they developed you and trained you and educated you for your role. If they are not communicating efficiently, it's because they don't know how to communicate. They're not sure what they're supposed to be doing. So again, if you have a bad leader, it's not about you. And if you are a bad leader, if you suspect that you are a bad leader, that's okay. It doesn't mean you're a bad person.
Nope. We just won't work with you. I'm just joking.
Well, I will work with you and I will help you get there. But no,
exactly.
But just because you're a bad leader doesn't mean that you're a bad person. You're just making poor decisions, and you can always shift that. You can always turn that. And I can say that as a recovering bad leader myself, that it took some work and development on myself, but you can absolutely do it.
Well, you know what I always say about bad leaders? It's a temporary high. You know that. When they can put somebody else down, it's in life. You put somebody else down, it makes you feel good for a quick minute, just like drinking alcohol or something like that. It's a quick temporary high, and then you go right back into the thing. You see it on social media. People bash people all the time. Why do you have time to bash people? Life's too short. Just enjoy everything. Bob Marley says it, 3 little birds on the doorstep every morning. God, come on, guys.
Yeah. But the thing is, too, that bad leaders don't realize that they're bad leaders.
No, some of them, they blame everybody else. That's an
That's right.
accountability.
So, yeah. So it's not even the fact that, putting them down, they get a high for a second. It's like they don't even realize that they did it. They didn't even realize that they did it because they were being a tough leader, right? I was just telling you like it was, Richard. I wasn't putting you down. I was just being a good leader.
Dude,
So bad leaders sometimes don't even realize that they're bad leaders.
if you suck, you suck. If I have a bad podcast and I think it sucks, I'm going to say I sucked on that. I mean, it is what it is. Just keep yourself
Yeah.
real. I think that's the
Yeah.
biggest thing is though, you
Yep.
cannot be on your A game all the time
Nope.
and consider other people. You don't know, walk in their lives. I mean, you've seen it, with candidates and everything like that, light industrial, anything, they're making 12, 14 bucks an hour. Some of these people, you don't even know what kind of life they have. And then you got the 6-figure person that has a miserable life too. I've seen them on both ends.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. So let me ask you something. What are the top 2 in your experience? I don't know, it just came into my head, but what are the top 2 like big leadership mistakes that you see?
Ooh, I think
I'm
the
interviewing
first,
you now.
yeah, I think the first leadership one is the number one. They don't listen. Everybody,
Yep.
the biggest one is they don't listen. Everybody's, you do it this way, you do it this way. The point of the finger, I think that's one of the worst, leader things that bad leaders have all the time. They don't listen.
Yep.
Listen and learn. I'm going to tell you, I think that's the 2 things that our leaders don't do. They don't learn and listen. If you do both of them with your peeps, once again, you're going to have placements and everything else. So you're going to have, you're going to have fun with it. I think that's a 2.
Yep.
Listen or learn.
Yep. Okay, so I'll give you mine. The top 2 that I see consistently is kind of ties into yours, which is they don't take the time to understand the team that they're leading. They don't take the time to really truly understand and educate themselves on the work. And then the second one is they don't ask for feedback from the teams and the people they lead. They're not vulnerable enough to ask for feedback.
And you know why? Why don't you think they want feedback? Because they don't want to be criticized, right? Sometimes.
That's right.
It comes down to where everything's a perfect world, So leaders out there, if I can tell anything, I think the biggest thing about this show is put your time in, stay there. If you got to go to baseball practice, that's fine or something like that, but put your time in. And on a Friday, 5:00, you're the one shutting the lights off, right?
Be the last to leave.
Don't let your recruiters or sources leave the last. That's awful.
That's right. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, and ask for feedback. There's a whole laundry list, but yes.
Oh, we can go on and on for this.
Oh my gosh, yeah, for sure.
We've been on for 50 minutes now, so I got to throw this up out there. Don't kill me on this, but look at that. There she is, in action, getting ready to rock and roll. Look who it is, Miss Keynote Speaker, Consultant, and does everything.
Yep. Now look at me. That's awesome. Yep. So, also too, just I was thinking about if I should mention this or not, but I will just for fun. Talking about leadership and some of the mistakes that we made. I'm actually getting ready to launch my online course, and it's actually called From Hot Mess to Leadership Success. And it is really just taking all these things that we've talked about and really kind of how do I get from feeling like a hot mess every single day as a leader to actually feeling like I'm thriving and leading in the way that truly reflects who I want to be. So I'm launching that July 1st. Don't know why I picked that date, but I just did. And super excited about it. Yeah. And it's all of the stuff that we've been talking about. So it's really exciting. Some really cool
things. We're going to tell everybody out there what we're going to do together. You want to explain what we're going to do? A little mini series?
Well, you go ahead. You do it, and then I'll tag in a little bit.
So I believe at the end in the summer here, I don't think we have the dates down, but no, not concrete. Yeah. But we're going to do a mini series on leadership and everything else. So it's going to be we're going to be asking questions and all that stuff. We want to put this leadership mini series together for the summertime for you to rock out and get involved with. It's going to be exciting, and we're going to have high energy. We're going to have fun with it too.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun and we're going to tackle, just some of the things we talked about today and definitely some of the cringy, icky stuff in leadership. But the goal really is to give the viewer some tactical things, some strategic things that you can take that cost nothing and won't take a lot of time to actually start to turn and start to develop as a leader and to feel more confident and stronger in your leadership role.
And I think the biggest thing about the mini series is we want to have the recruiters and leadership work together. So we want both of them to respond with stuff. Recruiters, if you're out there, send it in the inbox, send us stuff, ideas that you think that your leaders, you can be anonymous. I'm not going to say a word who you are, and we'll tackle it. Right.
Yep. And I'm going to also add my back office peeps. So back office people, credentialing, compliance, onboarding, housing, payroll, all these people that make things happen in the staffing industry, do the same thing. Reach out and tell us some of the things that you're seeing and you're struggling with, and we will tackle them for sure.
You got it. All right. You ready for my quote? Here it is.
Hit it.
Life is like a flower. Go for it.
You never know when you're gonna bloom. Ooh, is that you? Ooh, I like it.
Yes. Yes, it is.
You don't have to send me a copy of that picture so I can keep it.
You know what it was taken after. You know that, right? Like it's like a box of chocolates, right? You know? It's
Yeah,
like,
yep.
So
I
I
love
always
it.
come up with this stuff. It's inspiring. Yeah. And my brother took the picture, you know, he's like, dude, you never stop thinking, man. I'm like, dude, it's all about having fun. But I got to tell you, thank you for coming on the show. I mean, we almost rocked out an hour here. We can talk about leadership forever. Like I said, this show's unplugged. We're just keeping it real, you know? So we're not bad mouthing anybody. We're just want everybody to change and be successful.
That's right. That's right. Because I mean, that's what it's all about, right? If we can all be successful together, even as competitors.
That's it. Well, that's a wrap. Leaders, lead and be a leader. See y'all. Take care.